It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
This right here is Car Con Carne, a Q101 podcast. I'm James Van Alstyne, and just this past week, I relaunched the Car Con Carne merch store. You can get to it on carconcarne.com. It's the shop tab in the navigation. There's also an article about it on the homepage. You can get a handsome Car Con Carne hoodie, or a hoodie with an embroidered logo, very fashionable. T-shirts, trucker caps, tote bags to carry around your stuff. It's a great way to support the show. I don't make a ton of money off it. It really is a way to help promote what it is you listen to and watch here on Car Con Carne. So I'd appreciate your support, and hopefully in return for your support you get something cool to wear that is durable and will last at least a little bit. So thank you for your consideration there. Car Con Carne is sponsored by Ravinia. Ravinia.org is where you check out the schedule, where you buy tickets, learn more. I've talked about it before, but man, what a season we are in at Ravinia. What a bunch of shows coming up spanning every conceivable genre. I've talked at length about the Violent Femme show. Just some other names, just to give you a sense of what's to come at Ravinia coming up. Little Feat with Los Lobos, both on the same bill. Roger Daltrey with KT Tunstall. Michael Franti and Spearhead. This is going to be a fun one, especially considering Ravinia is an outdoor venue. Trombone Shorty and Orleans Avenue with Big Boy and Danielle Ponder. That's a whole show happening on June 19th. So much going on, Ravinia.org. If you want to get there and not have to drive, jump on the Union Pacific North Line and Metra. Show your conductor the same-day ticket, and you ride for free, which is perfect. Ravinia.org. Car Con Carne also sponsored by Easy Automation. Safety and security are things that you and I want, need, and expect. What if you could always come home to a well-lighted house knowing that you and everyone inside was safe? Or know that the package you'd been waiting on was delivered safe and secure. Embrace the future of smart living. Empower your home with intuitive control. It's so cool and it's so easy to do. Call my guy Dan at Easy Automation. I think he's on vacation, but he's ready to take your call. Easy Automation for a free, no-hassle quote, 630-730-3728, or visit easy-automation.net. This is Car Con Carne in Printers Row tonight. To my right, if you're watching this on Facebook or the YouTube, she's a returning guest. She's a returning favorite. She's a delight. She is Cinephile Stephanie Sack.
Hello.
And as we're heading into summer blockbuster season, I thought it was a good time to bring Stephanie back so she could tell us about the stuff that's not the shit you see at the local Cineplex. She's always got a line on all the cool stuff happening, the art house stuff, stuff you may want to jump into. Stephanie, lovely to see you.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me.
It's the first week of June. It's gorgeous out. It's like 70 degrees, sunny, a little breezy. Like this is why people stay in Chicago through the winter, is like today.
Agreed. And all the virgins I sacrificed worked, so you're welcome.
As we talk about things that are happening at the cinema, the non-traditional picks, the big one, literally the big one, Godzilla.
Go Godzilla.
With a purposeful grimace and a terrible smile, he pulls the spitting high-tension wires down.
I mean, it's self-explanatory. There's a song about it.
There is.
It narrates the whole thing.
So Godzilla at the Music Box.
I mean, really, what could be better? The king of monsters at the Midwest's most beautiful theater. James, I heard about this months ago, and I have been living for Godzilla Fest
you
at
messaged
the
me a
Music
few times
Box.
about it. Like this is absolutely front and center for you. They're screening a whole bunch of Godzilla. It's not just a Godzilla movie. Like they're going all in.
I mean, this is ostensibly the most comprehensive.
Hang on. First time that word was used on this podcast. Thank you.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Well, my favorite book is the dictionary, so there's that. And obviously one of my favorite franchises is Godzilla, so it's all working out. So this is ostensibly the most comprehensive film series of Godzilla ever presented in North America.
That can't be true.
That's the rumor, and we're going to go Godzilla with it.
So we're recording this the first week of June, this coming weekend as we're recording this.
This coming weekend kicks off on the 7th with some modern Godzilla films, neither of which I have any interest in seeing. And it all starts for me on June 8th at noon with the original 1954 Godzilla on 35 millimeter, kicking off a 24-hour Godzilla fest.
A lot of Godzilla.
That is just an epic amount of Godzilla, of all the Showa era titles. And the Showa era ran from 1954 to 1975. So you are just getting on film 20 years of the first foray into Godzilla-ing, the originals, all the new monsters, all of the monsters who came to fight with him, against him, beside him. There's robot Godzillas. King Kong shows up. How can you resist?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a while since I've seen these movies. I don't remember them being good.
Well, good obviously is a matter of opinion. And however, for the purposes of this conversation, James, I will actually agree with you. There's a handful of real standouts in the entirety of the Godzilla franchise, and I am here to bequeath these standouts to your audience, and they are, in no particular order, the original Godzilla from 1954. I mean, that's really the granddaddy of all monster movies in many ways. Of course, we are 9 years after the end of World War II, and this is Japan's reckoning. It is a how the country, how that part of the world is processing basically how the entire fabric of reality was opened up. And when the entire fabric of reality was opened up, it apparently awakens giant sleeping monsters who have been slumbering peacefully in the depths of the Pacific Ocean. But that when you rend the fabric of reality, it awakens them. Now, they're not real happy either.
Do people need to watch Oppenheimer before going to the music box?
I really wouldn't watch Oppenheimer before, during, or after going to the music box. But no, I think you can show up with the understanding that the original Godzilla is not only a wonderful film in terms of just the scope, its legacy, but really it's a piece of post-war history that you just cannot beat for the impact. And of course, the sound, the screonk, the shriek of Godzilla, I'm kind of living for it. And then at the end of the 24-hour fest, there's Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla.
That's the robot Godzilla.
That's the robot Godzilla. I mean, really, what could be more amazing than Godzilla versus a robot of itself?
Yeah.
That's just so meta and rad. And that came out in 1974. So we will, through no design of our own, be celebrating the 50th anniversary of Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla.
The same year that Diamond Dogs by David Bowie came out.
It's a pretty good year. It's the same year I came out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just learned something about you.
That's right. We all did. And then on Wednesday, June 12th, it's Mothra Day. And Mothra is kind of a later character, and it's a she. Mothra is a she, which is unique among the kaiju, which roughly translates as monsters or large creatures. And Mothra is being celebrated with a number of screenings. I strongly suggest the original Mothra at 4:30 p.m. again on Wednesday, June 12th, also on 35 millimeter. And from what I understand, representatives from the Field Museum will be on hand to discuss the insectology behind how Mothra looks, how she flies, and it's just going to be a ton of science about my girl Mothra.
I feel like after the past month of learning everything about cicadas, maybe people don't want that science.
I don't
maybe
care.
Maybe we're done with insects.
I mean, I'm not, and so therefore it's going to be Mothra Day.
Mothra Day. Okay, thoughts on Godzilla -1?
I've never seen it. I don't really like new movies, but you know that.
I do. I thought it was fantastic.
I'm so glad you did, and I'm not saying that with an ounce of snark. Maybe a dollop of snark.
I thought it was fantastic.
I'm so glad.
Okay, so it's all about Godzilla at the music box. Obviously, you know this. I'm going to bring this up. Music box shutting down in August for a little bit to replace. What would make that theater perfect? Comfortable seats. That's coming.
We're getting it.
Uh-huh.
We're staying alive at 95.
So next on your list, again, Stephanie Sack is here. She's a cinephile. The reason why she is here is to let us know about things that movie fans will like that are not the stuff you'd see at your local AMC, Regal, etc. Like the cool stuff for movie fans. So next up is a stone cold classic, Chinatown. There's an anniversary screening happening at the Pickwick, another old school theater.
The
in Park
Pickwick
Ridge,
in Park Ridge.
which was saved from oblivion. That was on the brink of oblivion.
It really was. I mean, talk about a palace of film. It's over 100 years old. When you get off the train in Park Ridge, it's the first thing you see. It's got that beautiful edifice. It's got that nice big marquee. And at one point, it was just one giant theater, which held 1,400 patrons. Unreal. These days, the large theater holds 900 people, which is still not too shabby.
That's substantial.
Amazing.
I haven't been there. The last time I was there was for a Halloween screening of The Blob, like 10 years ago. I am so overdue to go back there.
That's amazing. Well, this screening of Chinatown is a pretty good time to slip in and see what's going on. What a fabulous way to celebrate another 50th anniversary. 1974, Chinatown, one of the best American neo-noirs. And over time, I think we have come to see it as a noir. It's surpassed the neo-noir genre and become a classic, like you said, a stone cold classic. We've got Faye Dunaway, Jack Nicholson. It was produced by Robert Evans. The whole thing is really shades of Watergate. We've got elusive government plots. We're in Southern California. It's 1937. The country's coming off of the war. There's money. There's weird things happening about water. I mean, in many ways, not only is what's happening in Chinatown still very relevant, but you've got this script that's so tight. Every scene, every line of dialogue, every look. It's arguably one of the most perfect films in the American canon. Cannot wait for this. What a treat.
So this is June 12th.
June 12th, 7 p. at the Pickwick in Park Ridge.
And I know that neighborhood because that's right across the street from the Trader Joe's with the most difficult parking lot in all of the north suburbs.
See, James, I also, not only do I really not see modern films, the only things I drive these days are UFOs, unicorns, and brooms. So if that Trader Joe's has the most difficult parking, go with God. Go with Godzilla. I mean, maybe you should just ride Godzilla there.
Go with Godzilla.
That's
exactly.
right. Go with
All right,
Godzilla.
So next on your list is something I didn't know about. Tell me. This is June 18th. It's a Tuesday night. 2 for Tuesday.
Yes, 2-2 Tuesday. On 2-2 Tuesday, we're back in Lakeview in Chicago at the good old Alamo Drafthouse. And this film is really more in my wheelhouse, which of course is murder. I love murder movies, and this one is directed by a chick. And murder movies directed by chicks, I mean, just pure cinematic bliss for my weirdo mind.
Wait, so what's the movie?
It's called Hollywood 90028. And it's by a lady named Christina Hornisher. And this was her only feature film. She passed away very young, but she directed this film. It's sort of like summertime sadness, like lots of shadows in the sunlight. And it's all about the shadows and the darkness of the sex industry, which of course has a lot of shadows and darkness in it. And when you put it in the early 70s in Los Angeles, man, you are going to the depths of isolation, loneliness, and of course, good old murder. And this is about a man who is a pornographic cameraman. He's working for sleazy porno directors. I'm not sure there's not a sleazy porno director, but these are the typical sleazy porno directors in Los Angeles. And he finds himself falling in love with one of the actresses.
Does he have a mustache?
Of course he has a mustache. What the hell kind of question is that? is Godzilla big and
Right.
says Skryonk?
So wait, when did this movie come out?
73.
Okay.
And it was thought lost for many, many years. And apparently somebody found the reels in like a garbage can that a thrift store or one of the universities had just gotten rid of. So it's a real save. And recently it was restored. And I had the wonderful luck to catch it in Los Angeles, screened by a fabulous power partner of mine, the Cinematic Void. And the Void and I partnered to put together an event for Jollo January, which you were kind enough to cover all those eons ago, all those weeks ago, lifetimes ago. And I saw it in Los Angeles with 2 actors from the film, and they had the most amazing things to say. But the real, the most indelible part of this film is the final scene. And all I'm going to tell you is, ever since I saw this film in Los Angeles a few months back, I was really just addlepated to see it again, just vibrating with excitement to see it again. And I really thought about screening it myself, but thankfully the twisted minds at the Alamo have read my mind and done it for me. So it is Tuesday, June 18th, 7 p.m. We are going to Hollywood, 90028, SoCal Sunshine, Summertime Sadness, Murder Movies. Yes!
So as people are drinking and high-fiving across the street in any direction in Wrigleyville,
Yes.
This lurid, dark, sleazy movie is playing at the Alamo. I kind of love that. I like the balance.
And I will be holding down a seat there.
Okay, now it all comes back to you, my guest, Stephanie Sack.
Yes.
A production, an afternoon, an experience that you are putting on at Facets.
Good old Facets. So I grew up.
Wait, these are new movies we're about to talk about.
These are new movies. I absolutely stand, not corrected necessarily, but every now and again I will take a chance. And I took a chance on these 2 modern films, and they are Pearl and X.
So good.
So good. And I'm going to be super candid with you, James. Not that I always am not super candid.
Usually
I'm
you're
gonna be
guarded.
Super
Yeah.
candid, I know, very evasive. So I was asked to be on a podcast to talk about women in horror, and I love to talk about women in horror. And the gentleman who produced this podcast asked me to talk about X. And I sort of rolled my eyes. I hadn't seen it. It looked kind of modern and flimsy to me. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll talk about X. And I watched X specifically to talk about it on this podcast, or the podcast I was interviewed for. James, I was blown away. I was so impressed. And I immediately knew I had to see Pearl.
Yeah.
And that impressed me even more. So to celebrate the release of the 3rd film in the trilogy, Maxine, which parenthetically, maybe that's the first time anybody's used that word on this podcast, parenthetically, is a tribute to my boyfriend Dario Argento's beautiful Jolly from the 80s, the neon, the sleaze, the unease. I am going to be screening a double feature. We're calling it modern horror retro vibes of Pearl and X, Facets, July 5th, noon to 5.
Perfect.
Hostessed by moi.
Perfect. Those will be great to see back to back in that room.
Yes, on the big, very intimate room.
Yeah.
On the big screen. I'm really excited to see the crocodile scenes.
Cheap beer and eats there too. It's a very comfortable afternoon watching those movies. Mia Goth is spectacular.
She's unreal in both of these films, and I'm all about. I love to play the game. What member of the cast could this film not do without? And it's her. She's the heart, the soul, the terror, the horror of both of these films, and I cannot wait to see them.
Your interests are so pitch black, it's unbelievable.
Well, my favorite color is dark black.
Right.
Then my second favorite color is shiny.
All right, so we're covered through basically the Independence Day weekend with you. So you got to come back and let us know what's going on in July, August, etc.
I'm working on something really cool for July, late in July, and all I'm going to say is finish science fiction.
FINNISH. Interesting.
We.
Okay. Stephanie Sack, delightful to have you here hanging out in Printers Row, learning about all the cool stuff that isn't at the big Cineplex. And there's a ton of stuff going on.
There's so much stuff going on, James. We're so lucky. And before we wrap this up, first of all, thank you for hosting me. It's so fun to chat with you. Thanks to the Music Box for just being generally awesome. And, thanks to your audience for listening to me ramble about some of my favorite things, which are legitimately Godzilla and murder.
You haven't started to ramble. I cut it before we ramble. Like you were efficient. That was succinct. That was right on.
Then you're doing everyone a favor.
You're ostensibly doing a good job.
Superlative use of the word ostensibly.
All right, Stephanie, thank you.
You're more than welcome, James. Thank you.